on my own perception that the things that are happening are not by chance. If life speaks to you as chance, then go to the desert, go to the sea, go to the mountain, get away from the city. The city is randomness, or at least seems like that, until we get to a deeper level within it and we see that even that, right? But it's hard, it's harder. The beach, the mountains, the sea, that's where you can get connected to a more simplistic and deeper level and not have to fight so much. And then you come back with that into life again. So, at the very end, in conclusion of Ashrei, finale, page 40. After setting up almost a whole system of polarities, it's not one or the other. It's not Hashem's essence, which is God's absolute transcendence over creation, and the impossibility of his being constrained or confined by the laws of time, space, and nature, versus his name. It's not God's essence versus his name, which is God's mastery and providential care over every detail. One is transcendence over creation. Creation is nothing in the light of God's transcendence, as opposed to God's name, which is his involvement with every detail, right? It's not one against the other. It's not Yud Kei Vav Kei versus Aleph Dalet Nun Yud, or the upper Yud of the Aleph versus the lower Yud, which all these have been spoken about in the text. It's certainly not the king versus the queen, the vertical versus the horizontal, the transcendence versus the immanence, or heaven versus earth, or miracles versus nature. It's not God's plan versus human free will. It's not meta-history redemption versus history exile. It's not one or the other. It's not potential versus actual. It's not he versus you. Whatever I say there. The second paragraph, it's about yichud. It's about seeing the whole behind the parts, the one behind the many. This is what the Torah is all about. The Torah proclaims to us that Hashem's oneness is behind all of creation. He wants us to get that. So that's what I get from Ashrei, is that he sets up a system of polarities, miracles, no, nature. But then when you said nature, you get what nature is. You get what Shekhinah is, which is the hidden providence of God within the world. It's just as awesome as God's miracles and his transcendence and his overseeing of all of history. It's all one. It's Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad. It's bold. It's like Lecha Dodi, come my beloved from heaven, Likrat Kala, to meet the bride. You're going to get married on Shabbos night because you're going to reveal that you were really one the whole time. So that's my Torah. My Torah is to ask Hashem. My meditations are prayerful meditations. Ask Hashem. Be chutzpahdik. Be an Abraham. Be a Sarah. Ask for Hashem to reveal his oneness. This is the time to ask for that. We need it more than anything else, so that we can start to see more and start to get it, and to become the agents of that oneness in this world that I started with at the very beginning. So let's take some deep breaths. And really, thank you so much. But let's end this on a really inner, connected level, where you're breathing and you're aware of your breathing. Go down into your stomach with your breath, and then come up into your chest and stretch your shoulders and sit comfortably. Breathe any way that's comfortable for you, deep, and breathe deep inhale until you get to a place where you want to calm down and just do regular breathing, but do a little bit of deep breathing for a second. It may not be true anatomically, but put the breath into every part of your body, into every cell of your body. Breathe into all the parts of our bodies. Breathe life into ourselves. Hashem breathing life into us. Right? Hear the the sounds of the air conditioner, of the child. Of the beauty of this apartment, of the people who live here, who have created this space, bless them. Ask for a Shabbos moment, a Shabbos sense that it's so perfect, that there is a perfection. It's just waiting to be revealed. It's waiting to come into us and to be known by us. This is incredible perfection. The future is present at all times. It's just that for us, from the analytical left brain, it's in the future, it's not now. But the right brain knows, like, what are you trying to say? It's always now. We don't have to struggle to be in the now. The now is just relax into the now. Relax into Hashem's arms. Be comfortable with your eyes closed in your selfhood. Be ready to shine and to radiate Hashem's love and His light to everybody you see. Be carriers of the incredible light of the Shekhinah. Because you are the combination, the awesome combination of miracle and nature, of soul and body. And just breathe into that and let that be real to you. And Judaism, when it becomes a straitjacket that's put on us from the outside, is the opposite of what it was supposed to be. It's supposed to be imprinted on the tablets of our heart and grow from the inside out to become an organic system of God consciousness, of awakening to Hashem's presence in my life, from kindergarten, from birth, from all the things that I've done and gone through, and to look back at the movie of our lives, and to be thankful that we've been able to be alive till now, and that today is the first day of the rest of our lives. What an incredible privilege to be here at this time when all of the world is falling apart, maybe, whatever, but we can come into our fullness. I'm going to Texas on Monday. Since 1995, I've been close to people who identify loosely with a thing called B'nai Noach, non-Jews. Amazing people. They pop up here in one community, they leave their church, they start thinking, this is not what we want the real thing, and they come to it on their own, but there's a Torah. The Torah is what's the real thing. We want to connect to the Torah. They start learning Torah with each other, and then they find out that 20 miles away is another community that did the same thing, and 50 miles away is another community, and they're now starting to meet each other. I'm bringing two communities together by going to Texas this time. I cannot believe it. One guy, he was a preacher for 30 years, and on his dying bed, his father said to him, "I'm Jewish." It put his whole life into a shock, and now he's part of a community where they interact with rabbis, and they're inviting me down there. It's near Houston, and it's a reality in our days that people want to come close to Hashem, and it's like so powerful. I met Amari Studemeyer. Amari, he came to Israel. He said, "I heard your CD. These are free. Anybody who doesn't have this, the first 4 chapters of my book, Spiritual Technology."
Who's Amari Studemeyer?
Amari Studemeyer. I didn't know who he was either before I looked on Google. Amari Studemeyer. Stoudemire. He plays with the Knicks. He's one of the best basketball players in the history of basketball. He's an amazing guy. 6'11". So he came to Israel, and he's close to a young rabbi, and the rabbi called me and said, "Amari wants to meet with you. He likes your book." So I went with my son, who who knew exactly who that was because he plays basketball. And we met, and it was a very special meeting. He asked a lot of good questions, very sincere. He believes that his grandmother was Jewish, and whatever the case may be, he's a very beautiful man. He's playing tomorrow night, Shabbos, he's playing a game. He doesn't keep Shabbos. But whatever, it's like, it just was so obvious, there's so many black players who are becoming Muslim, and here's one who wants to connect to the Jewish people. You don't push a man away like this. He met with President Peres. He bought up with two other guys the Yerushalayim Paul Yerushalayim basketball team. He wants to be connected to Israel. He wants to be connected to the Jewish people. So I see it as that all kinds of people will come together as Mashiach gets closer. And unity is a very important thing. It's not everybody has to be who I am and like I am. Hashem is much bigger than all of us. And His story is much bigger than all of us. So let's know that. Let's really know that. I liken it to at first I used to liken it to a hall that had different signs on every door. Sukkot, Pesach, Shavuos, Purim, Hanukkah, Tisha B'Av. And people would come in thinking it's Tisha B'Av, and these people come in thinking it's Sukkot, and in the middle they all meet each other and say, "Why are you here?" "Well, I'm here because it's Tisha B'Av." Why aren't we sitting on the floor?" "No, it's Sukkot. It's Pesach." And everybody's talking, and all of a sudden the master of ceremonies says, "I know what's bothering all of you. You don't know why I've called you all. I want to tell you that all these different entrances lead to one thing and come from one thing and are about one thing. And don't get caught up in the costumes." But now, and I developed that even more, but it's a very important way to look at our holidays. It's all really about one thing, God revealing Himself. That's all it's about. The other thing is now that there's all kinds of groups coming in that are not Jewish, who want to be Jewish, who want to be connected, and some of them are totally distorting the whole thing. The Ephraimite movement among the Christians. They think that they're completely from the lost tribes, and they're misled, and there's a whole problem there. But they're people who want to connect to the Torah. We need somebody great enough, somebody big enough to give everybody what they need and to correct the distortions. Not to push away, but to correct the distortions. Not to say you're wrong and get out of here, we don't want anything to do with you, but wow, how awesome that you want to serve God, right? The positive way of looking at things. And then we're all in this big, amazing stadium or coliseum or whatever, and we're all meeting each other and say, "I'm Jewish. Are you Jewish?" "Well, I think I am." Well, halakhically, you're not. But wow, it's so awesome to meet you. You hear? It's just a different, right? It's like getting out of this thing where it's only me and only the way I know it, which is my team is better than yours, which is basically the consciousness of the Jewish people today in terms of the religious world. My team is better than yours, and your team doesn't count, and only my teacher, etc. And once you realize that that's what people are doing, you don't want to have any part of it. Like, what happened to you? I didn't do tshuva to come to this. I did tshuva to come to be close to Hashem. So we're allowed a certain amount of constructive criticism. I'm not talking against anybody in particular. I'm talking against a certain type of spirit it has to be recognized, and that we have to grow to the next level. And that our universalism has to first of all be a light to ourselves, and then Bezat Hashem. And that's possible. That's what I'm talking about. That our generation is really the generation that can do this. So really, be mamish, be blessed, and have moments of joy when you know that we're all part of something very, very great. Give the comfort, the consolation to your neshama, right? Al tishtochi nafshi, my neshama, don't be bent down in sadness. Be awake, be aware. Hashem is with us. That's what King David is all about. Even in the darkest places, Hashem is with us. So please God, let's see each other constantly in